All right, for those just tuning in, final score, Orks and DeathWatch. Orks 78 to a DevWatch. DeathWatch 85. Super, super close game. So much tighter than I thought. So much technical things, just little things going on there. What a game. What a game. That was much closer than I expected that to be.
Yeah, any single dice roll could have changed anything. There were a couple times when I had characters survive just barely. You were trying to get assassinate by shooting my captain, and you got 6 wounds on him. He had 5 wounds, but I made 2 of the feel no pains.
So he just barely lives.
So it was definitely came down to any single dice roll here and there. And definitely I had some bad dice too, trying to kill that stupid Morkanaut in the middle, get him down to 1 wound, and then just not doing anything.
But then you did 6 on that Eradicator, just 6 damage. And then the cans, like for a while with the cans over in the sense, it was like, you're like, oh, I did 1 wound, failed to save. Oh, I did 1 wound, failed to save. That battle just went on forever. Like I was saying, I got to look in and see if there's some way I could push more damage through.
Roll better. That's the key.
I mean, you armor contempted most of the game.
Yeah, I was just trying to keep. I figured if you weren't falling back, then I was going to keep those cans tied up by just staying alive with the dev set. So 2 up armor on them, meaning I was making 3 up saves against all the wounds that you're putting through on me. So
no, there is so much to unpack from this game, like left all across the field. So we'll try and cover everything that went on in this. From the Marine side of things, going into it for the Orks, the Assault Intercessors. How do you feel in this matchup? How do you feel they perform for you?
Oh, they were great. It's a little tough with Hammer and Anvil because they have to go so far to get in the middle, on the objectives in the secondary or in the center in no man's land. But I still think they're super useful. They did great for me in the tournament this past weekend, so they're going to definitely stay in the list. Like I said, they're great for assassinate. They were able to jump over there and get that mech that was standing by himself because they can get close to characters like that, do a little shooting, little impact mortals, some damage on the chart, with damage with the fight phase, enough to pick up most, moderate to light characters.
Right. I'm going to couple these guys in together, the Centurions and the Eradicators. This was definitely a time where they would have the ability to shine because so many vehicles. How do you feel their performance was in general today?
Oh, they did well. Obviously, it would be better if my dev sense, if I positioned them somewhere where you couldn't get a charge into them. But when they shot, all 6 of them, when they shot your cans, they picked up 4 of the cans.
Left me with 1 guy left.
And that was only because you spent the CP to reduce damage by 1.
Strong strat. Very strong strat.
Definitely, because we checked. It is on the unit, not just a model. So a 6-man cans unit gets the whole benefit from that in the shooting phase. So, Eradicators and Dev Sense were great. I could have played a little bit better to keep them from getting... I couldn't really keep them from getting shot, but if I kept the Dev Sense from getting charged, that would have been a little better.
So they did just dance all day with... the cans.
Or if you had killed one more of them, I made the charge even farther to get into them, then everything would be fine.
Listen, I killed
I'm disappointed with you not killing enough dev sense. So
yeah, right. You should have killed more of my guys. And then Sternguard.
Yeah, they did their Sternguard stuff. It was again this turn. It was not a great tome turn for me because I didn't. If I tried to put it on the remaining Morkanaut, I don't think I would have been able to get very much in to be able to shoot him because I was deep striking 9 inches away, and because you were kind of in the middle there, I'd be blocked out by the terrain, wouldn't be able to get eyes on him. So it was tough for them to really do their thing. I tomed a orc truck.
And you got it.
It scored me points because I got Storm Hostile or Tempting Target. Yeah. So it scored me points to take that truck out, but not where I really want to put my damage output on my big turn. But they still did the work into the remaining kilocans to pick up kilocans. They're still great. It's just a matter of getting eyes on things. Sometimes it's a little tricky to bring all those drop pods in all at once and get everything within 12 inches for the rapid fire. But other than that, I'm still happy with how they performed.
Right. And then a lot of the other stuff, like your characters and stuff, you had some backfield stuff that really didn't do very much. You just kind of hung out there. I don't think there was any other units I'm forgetting about that did any sort of damage or affected my army in any sort of way. Is there?
I don't. What are you getting at, DJ? Is there something in particular you want to?
Your tank.
Oh yeah. Sorry, the Gladiator Reaper.
Yeah, you should apologize. Apologize to your own tank. I handed you that one. I lofted you up a home run there, man. Wow.
So the Gladiator Reaper killed 33 grots plus 4 of the run herds in this game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how many. It's probably the same number of points as the Gladiator Reaper, but the fact that it was just absolutely shutting down your grots being able to do actions, control objectives, it was huge. So he definitely performed very well for me, and the Overwatch into infantry is really good on him. Even if you don't have the rerolls, a couple 6s turns into 6 hits with that Gatling cannon. The Gatling cannon is twin linked anyway, so you're still going to reroll wounds on it. So he did really well both in his shooting phases and Overwatch.
Yeah, he was able to pick up the grots. I mean, and I look at it personally. I realize what grots are. You know, they're 10-man squad. It's 10 wounds. If you can do 10 wounds, they die.
Yeah,
or I mean,
how many points?
12 wounds.
40 points?
Like 40, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but they do what there's. If you can't shoot at them, then that's what they do, and they hang out there. I mean, and for me, the grots did a lot. They got me a bunch of command points, scored me a bunch of points on primary, burnt an objective, they lit it on fire, so that was always positive. So I don't really have any issue with them. They just got.
Yeah, no, that's what's going to happen. Like I said, that's probably about equal amount points to points. You know, that 150 point Reaper probably picked up about 150 points worth of grots. So it's a pretty even trade, actually. In terms of utility, it shut down a lot of your utility, especially because I was intentionally going at shutting down your secondaries.
Yeah.
Like you had
Defend Stronghold,
which I shut down, and then you tried to move the other ones on. I was able to Overwatch with that, which also shut you down on 5 primary points at the end of the game for not being able to. So it definitely scored.
Hindsight, I should probably looked into that one and just dropped that and just let the grots in the middle and just held the objective and ran the Mega Knobs across and got the 5 extra points there. It wouldn't have given me the game. It would have put me closer to you. I mean, I could have gotten to 83 to 85, still put it 2 points behind. Needed that assassinate, but I definitely should have looked into that in the score sheets and looked at the score for that one. I thought I could have rushed back and got the defense stronghold, but no, I should have just held that one objective in the middle and went over there. That was a misplay, but it still wasn't enough because I could not kill the apothecary. Yeah, close, but didn't get him. And as far as going over in the Orks in this, I still need more practice with it, but I think I did much, much better into this. I really thought going into this matchup, I thought I was sunk.
Yeah.
I thought once that tome turn happened, I was going to lose so many resources. The Centurions were just going to bounce around the field and annihilate me all game long. And I stayed back just enough to make you have to, like you said, cut a weird angle that I was able to then punch into you and get into combat with you. My Wa wasn't all that impacting, but my
you only made one charge of the Wa, maybe
I got one charge on the Wa.
Yeah,
but that one charge shut down the Centurions, and as soon as the Centurions were shut down, then I was able to focus on random fire over onto the Eradicators. And once those 2 units were taken out of the game, then that meant that I could get bulky. And in this game, the Mega Knobs were just invincible. I took 1 damage.
I didn't put much into them, but because I know they were so hard to
exactly. That's what I mean is that they were in a position where nothing else, like anything else you put into them, I'm just safe.
The one turn I could have gone at them, I pulled Bring It Down. So you know what, we were going after the Morkanont.
There you go. Yeah. And he
took every bit I had. It came down to bare hands punching.
Punching the Morkanont, the beast, whatever was left of it, just shambling there, and they come running up and punch it. Sternguard.
Well, it's part of the what really works with the DeathWatch is that I drop in, I have my sustained turn with the Tome of X-Blades, tons of shots, tons of dev wounds, but then all those Sternguard, each of those guys gets 4 attacks. So the turn after the Tome turn is when I usually pop off the lethal hits. So when 10 guys get into combat with anything, it has their oath and they're re-rolling all their hits, you're just going to get a ton of lethal hits out of those 40 attacks. So it definitely adds up. There have been times I took 7 wounds off of a Storm Raven gunship in combat because of the same situation, lethal hits, and it was my own our oath target, so I was re-rolling hits. So it adds up.
But yeah, no, like I made a switch over to the truck. I was happy with that. I played a little more defensively. I wasn't going crazy with all the different effects like stacking the hazardous, so I didn't do as much damage there. I did a ton of damage to myself with the cans ability, which I believe is a May effect because it says you can roll. So I'm going to choose that I'm not going to roll.
Yeah, you learned that partway through the game.
I didn't.
Like, I don't have to roll this.
Yeah, I didn't really need that for it. I mean, the biggest one is for that ability is the, because I can go +1 strength, but I'm taking strength 9 to strength 10 for the guns because it is in the shooting phase. So I take the strength 9 to strength 10. Okay, I was fighting the Centurions.
Yeah,
it's strength
not
10
relevant into their toughness.
Or I'm shooting into your guys on objective once again.
T4, so it doesn't matter.
Not relevant. So then the only thing I was hoping for was a 5 or 6 to get +1 shot. And there's the opposite end of it. I roll a 1 or 2. I now take D6 mortal wounds. So
it's D6 too. That's a lot.
D6, yeah. It's
you rolled a 5 on this one.
I rolled a 5. Yeah, there
mortal,
was
so.
That's a whole dead can.
Yeah,
right off there. So that's one that I got to watch for a little bit on that. I probably took a little extra damage. I didn't need to. But one of the squads that did take a bit of damage was the one that got Oath of Moment and Tome back to Clade, so they were getting smoked. But even in that turn, it took a lot to still bring them down. Like it was unit after unit after unit to be able to take out the cans. So I was happy to see that I still had that resilience in there. The Storm Boys are definitely a spot that I could potentially cut in the future, but I like having that little deep strike target in there. I think I'm at the right number with Grots. I think I just need to practice this and mess with this a little more. Gorkanaut didn't do too much this game. He walked out there, got smacked.
He got eradicated.
He got eradicated bad. But, I mean, something was going to get hit by that.
I had redundancies into him. I had the tank with its, twin-linked dev guns, and then I had a squad of Stern Guard in there. So I was pretty sure he was going to die. I was surprised when I was just from 4 Melta shots that all rolled 6s. So that was nice.
No, it wasn't. That was painful. That was so painful. And then you re-roll the only one that wasn't a 6 into a 6. And it was just like, oh, okay. He's dead. That's that.
Perfectly average.
So how do you feel going into, considering you played this list? I played similar lists. I played it before. How did you like what you've seen? I mean, obviously, I know what you're going to say. Oh, I hated it. It killed this. It killed that. It killed that. Stop it. No lane. Bad.
What?
How did you like how this performed? The Orks list performed. Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good because I think you played it defensively enough. I think the terrain with the Gorkanauts and the Morkanaut definitely gives you the ability to kind of stage mid-table and not put a lot of firing lanes into it. The way my army works is that it takes multiple units to take out those, and I didn't really see good ways to put multiple units into them until late in the game. So I really did get lucky with those Eradicators early on. So I definitely think it's a strong list. But most of my army is a bunch of guys. Just a bunch of guys. So sometimes I don't know how it would perform into a more vehicle-heavy list. We played this against Iron Hands, and that was a debacle.
Messy.
Your dice were real bad, legendarily bad on that time, but I still think it was a tough matchup for you in terms of your damage output, but also obviously taking damage for them. So I think it is strong, but I would like to. You probably want more practice into things that are at least not all vehicles necessarily, but vehicle heavy. I have drop pods and one tank, so there's not much vehicles in them. The dev sets are kind of like vehicles, but
definitely look forward to practicing and playing a little more after the tournament. After we finish this all up, and that'll give me some time to get some stuff painted. I don't think I'll change too much. I definitely increased how many cans I had from when we did that with the Iron Hands, and I made some tweaks and changed some stuff up. So there's definitely some plays that I played into that matchup that I would change and play differently, such as not going ham with all the hazardous tests and destroying a lot of my stuff. Because I mean, the Gork and Morkanaut lived very long into those games, and that could have been the turning factor if I had more wounds on them than I spent, how I spent the wounds and how I lost into that, how much wounds I lost going into that. So this one, I was a very, very few times that I pick that ability. Very, very few times. So I could at least just stay on a hazardous 1 roll. But yeah, very few times that I picked that ability because I did not want to risk that extra damage because I knew you're going to be doing a lot of chip damage. And that little chip damage I do to myself, that could be the difference.
I mean, 2 of those takes you from 20 wounds down to 14 wounds. You know, they're 3 mortal wounds apiece, right? So if you roll poorly and get a couple ones in there, suddenly you're at 14 wounds.
Or lose an entire...
That's a third of your wounds, basically.
Yeah, or lose a can in the process, you know. Yeah. So that's definitely something to watch for. And I do, we were looking through the codex while I was looking at the Mega Knobs. I think I want to switch over to the regular custom shooter, the 4-shotter. Like with the enhancement that I took on it, you know, like we were looking at that, we were talking about that. And you mentioned something too, like, man, having that, having the 6B or the 6s to wound critical wounds, giving you that extra AP makes those,
because they're AP 0. Taking the AP 2 is a big difference.
Right. So I think having 4 shots with that, I think I kind of want to go that route with it now. So I think that's going to be one of the changes I'm going to go over there too, because that's a lot more shots than the just single shot that I was putting out today. So I think that's one change I want to do too. Plus, it'd be really cool coming off of a truck, because they would all get to shoot. And, yeah. And then if I have them back nearby, I give a +1 to hit. But I don't get the buff. I don't get the enhancement because it's a vehicle shooting.
Right. Yeah.
But still, I mean, it's still a truck that goes out there and just shots.
Tons of shots.
Yeah. So, all right. You have any closing thoughts after this game?
No, I mean, it was a close one. It was very came right down to it. It took a lot of thinking about. You know, I think the only reason I won was because I focused on trying to shut down your secondaries a little bit. Especially near the end there. So it just came down to that. So I always say when people are thinking about, you know, competitive play, if you're trying to be a competitive player, the first thing you think about is killing, you know, like, oh, I just want to make an army that kills thing. To get a little bit better than that, the second thing you think about is how you score points. So not just killing things, but how you score points. And the third thing is how you shut down your opponent from scoring. So I think that's kind of the key to kind of pull off tight games, is that obviously you want to kill things and obviously you want to score your points, but the third step is to make sure that you're also shutting down your opponent scoring, because that's a huge deal.
You did a good job of being able to shut down some of those points, especially by finishing off those grots in key and critical positions. And then some of it does come down a little bit to luck. You know, luck's always going to be, we roll dice. There is that factor into it. There's definitely dice rolls that were lucky and in my favor, but they're not standing out as much as the feel no pain that saves the character on the 5 for 5 points there.
Perfectly average.
Right.
It was definitely my skill that won the day and not my dice rolls.
But definitely like little things like that definitely are there. No, this was definitely a very tight tactical game all the way down to the wire. And I mean, different game, different time, same things, rolling it out. It could go the other way very easily. Very, very easily. Your experience with your list probably was what pushed you over that edge with it. And it definitely, like, not having as much experience, I wasn't able to, because I lost the secondary game. And my experience having it, I probably was a little too scattered thin. And there's probably ways that if I look back a couple of weeks from now after playing it, probably look back and go, oh, you know, I should have done this, should have done that, and things that I could have done to maybe keep those points and not lose those on secondaries. Yeah. You know, so, but that's everything. I'm very happy with it. It was a great game, very close, much closer than I expected. Yeah. So, all right, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.